Hi, and welcome to your class today on Kuhn, Kraft, Yoga, and Design. My name is Laura. Welcome. If you are brand new to the channel, I hope you enjoy this flow. Today, we are going to do an entire practice that really works into the sacral region, into the hips, the pelvis, and also into the back line of the body, the hamstrings, and the back of the legs. So needless to say, most of us are very tight in these areas. Please use anything that makes you feel more comfortable and to make you feel like you're really getting a lot out of each pose without causing any sharpness or pain. I recommend having a strap or maybe a yoga block for today's practice. That can be very helpful. And I will, as always, offer suggestions or change-ups along the way as we move. So we're going to get started coming down onto our backs on the mat. Beginning in a reclined butterfly pose. So as you come down onto your back, just allow the soles of the feet to meet, and then the knees can just drop out to the side. If you'd like to feel more supported in the legs, you can have a bolster or a block underneath each knee. Otherwise, once you make your way here, take both hands to the belly, creating just this diamond shape around the lower belly. As we inhale and exhale, we'll feel the belly rise and fall through the center of the fingers. And just take a couple of minutes to center and ground in our practice. Already here, maybe noticing tightness in the hips. It's very natural for the knees to be lifted. But as we begin, think about using that breath to relax so that you're not holding or tightening into those areas. And you're also releasing in other areas so that your face and your jaw and your shoulders stay released of any tension and just melting into the mat as we begin our practice. When you're ready, we're going to take both of the knees, bring them together, either using the hands or just drawing them together. Soles of the feet on the mat. And from here, we're going to bring the left knee into the chest. We're going to start warming up into the hips, but we're going to do so gradually. So from here, just draw that left knee into the chest and maybe bring it left and right across the body. Perhaps take the knee and draw a little knee circle out to the outside of the left rib cage, and then drawing it back in, and then reverse the circle. Once more, squeezing that shin into the belly. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, we're going to come into half happy baby. The right knee stays bent as we start this pose. You can use a strap, take it along the outside of the foot, or if you're able, you can also reach for the outer edge of the left foot, and then the elbow will come to the inside of the left knee. If that's still a little difficult for you to reach, you can also take a hold of the big toe, or it's totally fine to even just bring the left hand and wrap it around the back of that left thigh. But draw the knee back and towards the left armpit, so you're almost at a diagonal direction, so that knee is traveling towards the back left corner of your mat. So whether you have your strap, your foot, or your thigh, we're going to start here in our half happy baby with our right foot flat on the ground. And then we're going to start to wake up the back of that left hamstring. So from this half happy baby, let's just take a little, try to straighten just a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely straight in the left leg. And then bend the knee again. We'll do that about 5 to 8 times. Again, feeling it into the left hip, but also into that back of that left hamstring. Hamstrings are notoriously tight. We do sit a lot during our day, but you also do have a lot of nerves that run along the back side of the left leg and the right leg. And so this is just flossing those nerves, getting them to glide in their sheaths in the fascia of the back of the leg. When you're ready, we're going to come into half happy baby. You're going to come into stillness here for about 5 to 8 breaths. And you can either keep this right leg knee bent or extend the right leg out flat to the ground. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. Try to remain balanced in the body so that we're not falling over to the left and leaning onto that left hip. We should be nice balanced in the spine and also grounded into the back body so that our low back is almost touching the mat. Should be just a very small space. And as you hold here, use the weight of that left arm to just draw that left knee further back, closer to your torso, closer to the ground. And then when you're ready, we're going to bend that left shin. Again, draw the knee into the chest. Exhale. And from here, we're going to go into our reclined hand to big toe pose. So the peace fingers around the left big toe, or again, you can use the strap. And we're going to do that nerve flossing before we come into the full expression of the hand to big toe pose. So drawing the knee back as the left knee is bent, and then extend the left heel, flexing the left foot towards the sky, and then bend the knee, flex, and push with the heel. Bring it back in towards the body, press towards the sky. Very similar to what we did in our half happy baby, but now if your right leg is extended, we're in a much deeper expression, getting more of a stretch, feeling it much more deeply into that left hamstring, especially as we straighten. On this last push, we're going to hold in our hand to big toe pose for about 5 breaths. The right hand can stay resting on the belly. Sometimes I like to have it resting on the outer edge of my right hip so I can feel very grounded. This can be a very intense stretch. So again, try to relax into it. Relax the muscles of the face. Soften in between the eyebrows. Maybe feeling some shakiness in the back side of that left leg. If you're really pushing into the heel, really going for a straight left leg. And for these last 3 breaths, you have 2 options. You can either come into a half happy baby again, or you can open up that left leg, keeping it straight, and then keeping the right hip grounded towards the mat. Extend that left leg out long, opening up to the inner thighs, opening up the left hip. If you had the left leg open up to the side, bring it back above you. And from here, either in your half happy baby or your hand to big toe pose, we're going to cross the left leg over the right side of the body for a variation on a reclined twist. Now, we're going to switch hands, take the right hand to the big toe or the outer edge of the left foot, if you can reach it, or your strap. And from here, we're going to lift the hips up a little bit and make some room as we cross that left leg over the right. I'm just going to make a little extra room for myself so I do not hit my sofa. And come into reclined twists. If this hand to big toe stretch is too much for you in your reclined twist, as always, you can have the left knee bent and take that variation. Both variations are going to give you a beautiful stretch in the outside of this left leg, into this outer IT band, that very strong elastic band that goes across the outside of the left leg. And then the left arm can stay extended into a T shape. Your gaze can stay up at the ceiling, or if you would like, you can gaze over at your left hand. And we're going to hold here for 3 more breaths. When you're ready, if you had that release on the extended leg or the hold on the extended leg, you can release it, bend the knee, draw it back in, and then bring your back onto the mat into our reclined Shavasana. And we're going to take a quick banana pose. So we're going to take this by lifting up the hips and then setting them over to the left about 1 or 2 inches, creating this out of shape curve in our spine. From here, it's usually easier to move the legs next as the legs are heavier. We're going to take the feet and bring them towards the top right corner of the mat. If you want a little extra bend in your banana, you'll take the left foot and cross it over the top of the right leg. From here, we're going to move the torso and draw the head, neck, and shoulders and arms towards the bottom right corner of the mat. Take a hold of the left wrist with your right hand, and then stay grounded with the right shoulder as we hold this banana shape for, again, another beautiful stretch in the outer side ribs of the left side body, and then also again into that outer IT band of the left leg. When you're ready, we're going to unwind our banana, come back to center. You can draw the feet back in so that the knees are bent, and we're going to take all of that onto the other side. And this time we're going to draw the right knee into the chest, kind of warming up into the right hip, maybe noticing a difference here already. The left hip probably feels some energy going through it, a little bit of tingling, maybe some warmth, and then maybe take some rotations with that right knee. If you started clockwise, we'll do a few motions in the clockwise position and then go ahead and reverse that circle so that we get both sides, both directions. When you're ready, draw that knee back in. Give it a nice big squeeze. From here, we're going to come into half happy baby. The same options available on the right side, whether you're taking your toe, the outside of the foot, a strap, or if you're hugging onto that inside of that right inner thigh. If you're doing that, of course, remember to draw the knee down and back to add a diagonal towards that back right corner of the mat. So you're still getting a deep opening into the hip and into the sacral region. So starting with this half happy baby pose, maybe feeling pretty tight. I know I am. So I'm just going to take a couple of really small straightenings of the knee and then draw it back. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend, warming up into the hip, into the hamstrings. One side is always a little bit tighter than the other. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and come into your half happy baby pose. Settle into it, starting with the left knee bent. Feeling grounded, feeling stable in the back so that we're not rolling onto one side. And then relax the shoulders. Feel the weight of the arms. Just draw that right knee down in towards the right armpit, closing into that gap between the knee and the mat. And if it suits you, you can extend the left leg out long, straightening it down towards the mat. Left hand can rest on the belly or into the outside of the left hip, feeling like a little anchor to keep your connection with the earth. And we're going to breathe and hold here for about 5 breaths. When you're ready, draw that left foot in again, bend the left knee so that you can have a nice position to prepare for the next pose, which is again hand to big toe pose. Use a strap if you need it. Otherwise, take the two peace fingers, wrap them around that right big toe. And again, we're going to start with straightening and bending into the right knee to glide those nerve endings. Wake up the back of that right hamstring. Let's do this about 5 to 8 times. Go at your own pace using your breath. Moving the elbow if you need to, whether it's on the outside or the inside of the right knee. Doesn't really matter too much. Just as long as when you do push the heel up, you're pushing the heel up, flexing the foot, extending throughout the back of that right leg. And on the last one, we're going to hold. Keep the right foot extended, keeping a hold of that big toe with your peace fingers. And then when you're ready, you can slowly start to straighten out that left leg. Again, anchoring the left hip down towards the mat, feeling the heaviness into the right arm, maybe drawing that right leg a little bit closer, feeling the toes draw closer towards the nose. And you're going to really feel it in the back of the calf, and the back of the hamstrings here. And of course, you can keep working on that bending and straightening the leg as well. You may find that more effective. Maybe you need to take that a little bit longer. We'll hold here for about 3 more breaths. Really push into the sky with that heel. You've got this. And when you're ready, if you'd like, you can either stay in the straight leg, hand to big toe pose. You can come into half happy baby, or if you want to open up to the inside of that right groin, you can take the right foot out to the side, opening as far as you can. This is where a strap might come in really helpful, especially if you have shorter arms, but still keeping that right foot flexed, keeping the left hip anchored. We don't want to just be slopping over onto the right side, falling onto the right hip. When you're ready, let's bring that right leg up to the sky again, or come into your half happy baby pose, and we're going to prepare for our reclined twist. If you're taking the hand to big toe version, you're going to switch out your hands, take the left hand either to your big toe or grab the outer edge of that right foot if it's available. Half happy baby, you'll take a bent knee, and then both of the versions, you're going to swap them and cross them over the left side of the body. The back of the right shoulder should be feeling into your mat. The right arm can come out to a T shape. Gaze, I always love to keep the gaze optional, so you can look up at the sky over at the right hand. If you like to keep a neutral neck, as I do, then I just keep it looking up at the sky, enjoying this outer stretch and really deep stretch if you're keeping a straight leg and a flexed right foot into this outside of the right leg. Not only that, but you're also enjoying the benefits of a very deep twist, whether your knee is bent or straight, because having the left leg straight definitely deepens the twist when you're coming into this version. And when you're ready, you can release that right leg, come back onto your mat, flat on your back, coming through Shavasana. We're going to set up for that banana shape once more. This time, let's lift the hips up and just place them over towards the right side of the mat, about 1 or 2 inches. Now the feet will go to the top left corner of the mat. If you want to make it deeper, you can cross the right ankle over the top of the left ankle, and then start to move the upper body, head, neck, shoulders, and arms, reaching for that right wrist with the left hand. And then feel this nice, really gentle stretch on the outside of the right side body. Not a whole lot of effort is needed here, just using gravity and then this fun shape that we've created with our body staying anchored into the right hip and also the right shoulder so they stay glued to the mats. This is one that I could just lay on the floor and just watch TV in and just find these funky shapes to feel a nice lateral side stretch, which we don't get a whole lot in our day. When you're ready, we're going to straighten ourselves out, come into Shavasana. Let's go ahead and bend the feet, and then we're going to push up onto our forearms, preparing for a fish pose. Now, fish pose, if this is not too easy for you, you can also use your block. And when you come into fish pose, you can have this settled right in between your shoulder blades. So it might take a moment to find the right placement, but we want to have our head hanging off the back edge of the block. And you can have this supported version of fish pose. Or if you would like the full version of fish pose, start with the knees bent. It's a little easier to start here. Have the hands slightly underneath the hips. So you're just sitting onto the thumbs and also the fingers, and the forearms are underneath you bent. And then from here, start to straighten the legs out, and then allow the head and neck to release towards the mat. So you're reaching the crown of the head towards the mat. Now, depending on how flexible you are in your upper body and your back, this may be a challenge. So I certainly recommend the block. Also, having the legs bent, or even one or two knees bent here, can be a little bit easier on you, or a block underneath, not a block, but a bolster underneath the knees. We're going to just hold here for about 3 more breaths. Wherever you're at in your fish pose, to come out of it, you need to push strongly into your forearms so that we're not placing any pressure onto the head or the neck, and using the core and the forearms to lift yourself up and to remove the hands from underneath the glutes. From here, let's go ahead and lower ourselves back down flat onto the mat. And we're going to prepare, first coming into bridge pose, drawing the feet in towards the body, bending the knees. Fingertips can be reaching for the heels, maybe just lightly grazing. That completely depends on your anatomy. Maybe you have longer arms and you can reach your heels easily. But when you're ready, we're going to come up into a bridge pose just to open the front line of the body. Stay soft within the front of the neck. Push into the knees. Feel as if you're drawing the heels back towards the head, like you're trying to create a wrinkle into the mat. As you do this, you'll feel more activation into the glutes, into the back line of the body. So there's more activation by doing this, feeling this action of pulling the heels back, instead of just feeling the glutes tighten like you're squeezing your butt. So use the motion, use the action of feeling for the heels, trying to create that wrinkle in the mat. And when you're ready, we're going to release the butt back down onto the mat. Preparing for our plow pose next. Coming into plow, we're going to use, again, the forearms to help us lift the hips, pressing into the mat with your arms and your hands, and then bringing the knees and the feet up over the head. As we get started in our plow pose, you can keep the knees deeply bent and have them alongside the ears. The hands are supporting the low back to keep you in this position. Again, you can hear that I am talking clearly, so you know that I am not restricting my throat to have a nice space in the front of my throat. Now, from your plow pose, it can be a little difficult and strenuous to straighten the legs, but you can keep them bent by your ears or straighten one leg at a time. Let's begin by straightening out the right leg and then bending it, bringing the knee back towards the ear, and then straighten the left leg and then bring the knee back towards the ear. Let's do that a couple more times each side. Right leg, and then bends. Left leg straightens, and then bends. Right leg straightens, and bends. Left leg straightens, and then bends. Wonderful. You can absolutely stay with this ear pressure pose, or you can start to straighten out both of the legs coming into your plow pose. Holding here for 3 breaths. From plow pose, you have an option. You can stay in plow, you can return to bridge, or if you would like to take a shoulder stand, extend the right leg up towards the sky, followed by the left, and hold in your shoulder stand. Feeling the glutes in the back supported by the hands, pressing the feet up straight towards the sky. You'll hold for 3, 2, and 1. If you took the bridge option, I want you to slowly lower down. If you're up in shoulder stand, I want you to return back to plow before lowering back. We're coming through plow, and as we come through plow, we're going to just gently support the glutes as we very, very slowly bend the knees and allow the hips to return back to the earth. Take a moment with the hips back on the earth. Take a nice deep breath. Inhale. And exhale, release it out. When you're ready, we're going to come in for our full happy baby. We should be pretty well prepared for this now as we've worked both sides of the hips. You can start by drawing that left foot in, taking hold of the outer edge of the foot, and then follow with the right foot. Again, in this case, you may need 2 straps, or you can take a hold of the shins or the back of the thighs to come into a full version of half happy baby. If you like to move a little bit in your I should say full happy baby, you can rock from side to side. Just feel that connection of the entire back along the mat. And then when you're ready, we'll come to stillness. Taking a pause in our full happy baby pose, feeling the tailbone becoming nice and heavy with every breath. Enjoying this playful side of our practice. Play is so beneficial, and there are so many shapes in yoga that I think are very playful, that really help us to connect with our bodies and just to enjoy our practice. And that's what I think makes yoga so fun, and just you can always have something very different. You move fast, you can move slow, you change it with the breath. It is such an amazing practice to have in your life. I'm so glad that you could enjoy this with me. From our full happy baby pose, if you had the outside edge of the foot, let's go ahead and bring the peace fingers to the big toes. So we're going to just take a full straddle here, a reclined straddle. But before we go into that, let's start by just straightening one leg at a time. Again, like we did it when we were in the reclined position in our half happy baby. So we'll extend the left leg and then bend the knee. Extend the right leg, bend, left leg, bend. This is also a good practice, just kind of a mind-body connection for some coordination between the mind and the body. And when you're ready, you can either stay in your full happy baby, or if you would like, you can completely open up into a reclined straddle pose. Again, just allow the arms to feel heavy. My arms are heavy and actually fairly loose. They're just pulling the feet down and across. Holding here for about 3 more breaths. It's likely that the low back and their tailbone is possibly lifted in this pose. If that is, work towards feeling the connection with the tailbone and the mats. It could take some time. I know it certainly did for me in a Happy Baby. But eventually, I got there. It takes practice to open up through the hips, so do not be dismayed at being tight into the hips or into the back of the hamstrings and the legs. It's quite natural. When you're ready, you can just bend into those knees, come through Happy Baby, and then release the feet. Let's just take a nice squeeze of those shins, drawing both of the knees in for a big squeeze and a hug. And then when you are ready, we're going to take one final pose in our practice today. We're going to start to rock up to a seated, or actually a squatting position, coming into a malasana. I almost got it there, had to pause, still working on some knee stuff. So sometimes coming straight into a squat gives me a little bit of a pause before I do that. So coming up into our yogi squat, we're going to have our feet pointed up at the top two corners of the mat. They're at a slight diagonal. And then the elbows come to the inside of the inner thighs. As you start here, I just encourage you to take a few rocks, moving from one heel to the other, lifting and lowering. Sometimes it's hard to come into immediate stillness into any of these poses. That's why I really encourage those bending and extending movements as we did throughout our practice today. And same thing goes through our malasana. But as we get more comfortable here, taking a few breaths, then we'll start to slow down and then come into stillness. Of course, with your malasana, you can always take a seat onto a block by plopping that just underneath the glutes and resting the tailbone on it until you get more comfortable in your seated squat. And then once you are there, we'll go ahead and keep the chest high, back straight, gaze forward as the elbows press into the knees and open up into the inner thighs, into the inner hips. Such a nice, juicy opener into the low body today. And we'll take our last few breaths here, closing with 3 breaths. You can start to close your eyes. And when you are ready, you can release yourself all the way down onto the mat, hands or no hands, however you want to get there. We're going to come back into the center of our mat into a nice, easy cross-legged position. Close out our practice by taking a nice deep inhale, lifting the arms up to the sky, and then draw the hands down through heart center, perhaps closing the eyes and tucking the chin. As we end our practice with thank you and gratitude for joining each other on our mat today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you love to see in your practice from week to week. Come back here, hit that subscribe button for new practices every single Sunday. As always, I hope you have a great day. Make it a good one. Bye.